What's up, guys? Welcome back to Mikey Yourself. And it has been hot. Told you guys that in the last video. Just baking out here. It's been really hard to try to put out some content because it's like 90 plus degrees in the garage most of the time, so that just makes it a little bit challenging. But we've got a great video today. One of the things that I've wanted to upgrade on my Road Glide for a while is that air intake. Now, when I bought it, it came with a high flow intake on it, and it's all right. It's the standard Harley look to it. The filters are a lot harder to find, or at least pretty pricey, and at least mine isn't reusable, so I have to replace it unless I go out and buy one. But the other thing is, I really don't care for how it was constructed. Let's take a look. Since you know that I have been trying to troubleshoot or find ways to just really get the Milwaukee-Eight to run a little bit cooler than it has, I'm looking for every opportunity, and it, you know, one of the things that I'm looking at is taking off the lowers for a bit of time just to see how that impacts things. I may go with a different solution, keep the speakers, but essentially go with a headlight bucket look. We'll see. We're going to experiment first. But here's what I'm talking about. The airflow, of course, is coming from the front, and when you look at these intakes, this is all blocked up here, and granted, you can kind of sort of get, I guess, air if it's sucked hard enough on the backside, but it's really on the bottom and the front here. So these, of course, and I got that, you gotta love that, right? These, of course, are blocking a lot of the air. So how do we counter that? How do we find a solution where it's not dependent on airflow coming right at it? We're making it easier to breathe. So what do we have to put in? We've got TigersGate's air intake filter kit. So this kit comes in 3 different colors. You can get it in red, silver, or blue. It's CNC'd out of 6160 aluminum. This thing feels solid. You know, if you can tell the difference between like picking up a watch, you know, different watches and everything. That's kind of how I feel about this. Like, you could feel that this is a decent build. I don't see like a lot of burrs or anything like that. It looks really, really solidly done. It comes with a reusable filter, so that's nice. Going to save you money in the long run, as you don't have to buy replacements. You could just wash it and reuse it. The kit comes with the hardware, so you get your banjo bolts. You get the other bolts as well as your spacers, because this actually fits a wide variety, or range, I should say, of bikes. So it does touring, softail, and I forget the years. You'll have to look it up. Just make sure it does fit your year. It comes with its gaskets. When you put your gaskets on, you want to make sure you want to do, you know, lubricant so you can get a good seal. You'll see that in the price part of our process. And then with your bolts, the nice thing is these things already come coated with blue Loctite, so you're good to go there. Now, what's really going to be helpful, or, you know, one of the things that we want to see out of putting in a new air filter is, will it allow for more air to enter the engine? You get better performance. If you have clogged filters or limited, you know, breathing filters, you can run into a ton of different issues, right? Like poor idle, you can get slow speed stalls, maybe your cold start's not as good. Good airflow, you're going to get better performance, and you're going to get better gas mileage, so that's always plus. In the kit, you also get instructions, and what's cool about these is it's a picture, and I can read pictures, so luckily for me, I'll be able to put this on. All right, now that we've kind of gone over the kit, we're going to go ahead and get on that original one and pull that thing off and get ready to put this one on, and we'll be able to take a hear as to what this thing sounds like. I'm not quite sure if I will retune the bike. So I've got the Vance & Hines FP3 for this bike. Yes, we're changing it, but it's also a high flow. So I don't know if it's a big enough difference to need a retune, but I'll base that off of, you know, when I do the riding and how it seems to perform. It feels like it needs more, then we'll do that. But that'll be a later video when we do the actual ride review of the product. For now, let's get this thing on. So if you're a smooth brain guy like me, you've probably got frustrated because you couldn't figure out where the hell the damn bolt is. So if you've ever done this before, and I know it's not groundbreaking, but they're just Velcroed on. Long story, but don't be like Mike. So let's start to kind of assemble this thing, and what I want to do really quick is just do somewhat of a like a dry fit. And what I mean by that is just make sure that stuff's gonna kind of make sense, and it does. So you see that gap there? That's why you need those spacers in the mix. So we'll go ahead and we'll make sure those get included. So there'll be a gasket on each side of these. You got a little indent to put it in, and it looks like there's like a protruding one. That one's got to come out. So they are directional, so you can't just flip them around. The easiest way to tell is that this will move around like that. If you do it the right way, it won't move. So we'll just need to account for that as we kind of put things together. All right, so we're gonna put our gasket on. Make sure you clean your surfaces before you put your gaskets on, just in case there's some old leftover gasket there. You wanna make sure you do that. Don't use a razor blade. I'm sure some people say, no, you're fine, you can do it. I find like you use a razor blade and you're gonna nick this pretty bad or something like that. It's inevitable. It's like Murphy's Law, right? So to avoid that situation, I would say just not do that. Use like a plastic scraper or something like that where it's not going to do any harm. So I'm going to take a little bit of silicone grease and lightly apply. And like I said, what this does is two things for me. It's going to hold the gasket in place while I put everything together. And then it helps also with creating a better seal. All right, and I don't know if there's a perfect amount. So if you're wondering that, I don't know. Don't know if it exists. All right, so that's on there. So we've got that for it to go. I'm going to apply it on the back side of our plate. So that way we got it on both sides. And then these are the little rubber rings. So we need to put those in there. All right, so let's go ahead and put that in place. We'll just get the bolts started because then we need to do the 3 inner ones. And I want to make sure everything is aligned before I put any pressure on, right? So that'll be really important too. You don't want to put all kinds of pressure and things aren't even aligning for you. And I just realized I forgot to add 2 of the ring seals. And I'll show you where they go below or on the other side of this. So I missed that. So I've got to pull those out. That shouldn't be a problem now that we have these these 3 bolts started. All right, so I put the other ring on really quick. So that's done. Just go ahead and I'm going to snug everything up, make sure everything's sitting right. The instructions doesn't mention anything about a cross pattern or anything like that, which it's only 3 bolts, so I don't know how you would. I guess. What I want to make sure is that those spacers, because like I said, it's got that lip on one side that's sitting in there fine, and we don't end up with a leak. Which I think if it did leak there, what end up happening is if that pressure does build, you're going to get oil on the side of your stuff. So I mean, yeah, I don't know if that'll be that big a deal. Probably be a pain to clean up, but all right. So I always recommend make sure you have a manual because this is really, really helpful for getting the correct specs on anything. If nothing for nothing else, just having the torque values, this is so worth it. But in this book here, what it's telling us is the breather screws. So that's the 2 big ones. Those are going to be 22 to 24 foot-pounds. And then the smaller inner ones, which is listed as the air filter black back plate mounting bracket to throttle body mounting screws, is 66 to 84 inch-pounds. So 2 very different torque values. So you want to make sure you pay attention to that. We'll get our torque wrench and get those tightened up. All right, so we've got, in my opinion, the most important part done, which is getting that back plate on with the seals and all that good stuff. Definitely take a moment to wipe it down, just in case when you tighten stuff up, like some of that grease squeezes out sometimes. So you want to just do a quick wipe of that. No biggie if it does, it just, you know. Then if you want, you can access a little bit of the chrome there. Give it a quick wipe. And then now we can go ahead and install the adapter, which is going to allow us to attach the air filter. Now, there's no torque values that I'm aware of for this, at least not in the instructions. And of course, the Harley-Davidson manual is not going to cover this because this is a very unique filter. And they don't account for all the different aftermarket parts that are out there. So, you know, use discretion. Like if you see it's a small bolt and you know this is aluminum, just know you put enough torque on there, you could easily strip stuff out, which you don't want to do. So we're good there. Now let's add on our filter. You just want to make sure you get a good seal. So if you turn it when it feels like it's not turning easily, then you know you're probably there. Put that in. Oop. So there we go, guys. And I know it seems kind of odd because it's like, why the red? I actually wanted to do red accents on this bike. So I've actually got some red ABS plastic that I'd like to add things on and other like screw covers and stuff like that to really bring that out. You probably can't see it at the moment, but like my valve stem cap is a red dye that actually matches this. So I kind of wish my speaker grills were in red as well. I love how they look in silver, but yeah, I'd love to have the red accent. So either way, let's go ahead and give this thing a start up and see what it sounds like. All right, so hopefully now you kind of see what my vision was, where to avoid having that issue of only allowing airflow to come into the intake from the very low front and underneath. Now we have this all open, and it really doesn't matter or is as dependent on that air, on having the lowers in the way, because now it can grab the air from anywhere, right? So in theory, like I said, our expectation is be able to suck that air in from anywhere. And yeah, hopefully we get a little bit better performance. I don't know, we'll see. It's really going to be about riding it for a little bit, getting past that honeymoon phase, like I like to say, to make sure that we got a true output, right, of what we're looking for. All right, guys, so there you have it. The TigersGate air intake, air filter kit. Simple installation, covers a wide variety of years, softail and touring. You want to check out their website. I'll put a link to it in the description. That way you get yourself a little bit of savings there. You know, if you're ever wanting to do a stage 1 to your bike, slip-ons and the intake, this is a very simple process. Don't be intimidated by it. Easy, easy. You don't have to pay a lot of money for a shop to do it. Now, just know if you don't have all of the tools, and the most important tool that I want to call out is the torque wrench for both inch pounds and foot pounds. And then of course, if you're elsewhere, maybe Newton meters or something like that, make sure you use the right tool. Don't over torque your bolts. The last thing you want to do is do that to a vital or critical part like your brakes or anything like that. And then you also don't want to snap a bolt off in the wrong place, because some of the stuff is almost impossible to get out, and then you'll be living in a nightmare, as you will have to take it to a shop to get them to extract that bolt for you. So we're going to put some miles on this thing. We'll figure out how, you know, the experience is when you add in a better air filter system to your bike, to your car, whatever it is. Adding more air generally gives you a little bit better performance and gives you better gas mileage. we'll see. Throttle response, all those kind of pieces. This isn't a performance bagger, so I'm not expecting this thing to rocket out of place, because that's just not how I ride. But ultimately, I do expect to see some differences, some benefits. I'm really curious to see if it's going to address or aid in the cooling of the engine temperatures. Potentially, don't know. We're doing a couple of things, so we'll check that out. Whatever I do find, I'll report back to you guys, let you know exactly how this thing performed, and that way you can make your decisions a little bit easier, knowing that it's been tested, it's been proven, and you now have the result. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that thumbs up. If you enjoy my content, I would love to have you as a member of our community. Share your feedback. Let us know what your experiences are. If you have questions, ask them. I'll try to answer what I can. If I can't, then hopefully another member of the community can help you out as well. So until that next video does post, I hope to see you in the win.